Well, hello everyone and welcome to another Q&A session. We got quite a lot to get through, so I better get the laptop fired up. Thank you for your questions, as is the norm. Now the virus lockdown is sort of behind us. Feeling for you people in Melbourne at the moment, and Leicester indeed. Yeah, we're going back to the questions being asked by patrons at patreon.com/HubNut and HubNut channel members on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/HubNut, you should see a join button also appears underneath videos if you're wondering what that is all about. Official HubNutters on YouTube. And I'm going to start with the Patron questions, and we'll jump straight in. William Tever: roughly how many more videos of your trip in New Zealand and Australia are there to go? He says, and I can answer that fairly easily because I think I've still got 3 videos to come. I'm not planning to release any of those before I've released this video. So what have we got left? We've got, I've just published the Alfa Romeo, haven't I? So we've still got Toyotas variously, including a Toyota Corona with a Holden Starfire engine. Sadly didn't get to drive, but we will get to hear it run. So that's a trio of Toyotas in one video. We've got a standard Vanguard that I suspect will be the final video, and from the same owner, hello Peter, there's also a Ford Telstar. So I'm looking forward to telling you all about what that actually is. So that's what I've got left to go, and then I think that's it, done. I've got nothing left from New Zealand now. Although I do hope, I'm trying to get better at doing highlight reels. We've just done the Tuk in the car one. I want to do a highlight reel of the entire trip. We've already done one on Betty, but there was much more to that trip than that one car, much as I loved her. And how's the coronavirus over in Wales? Well, it's easing down here. We're now free to travel again, completely. We've just heard today that the schools are going to go back full-time in September. At the moment, the kiddies in my life are only doing 1 day a week, and it's the same day, so that's worked out really well. We have a day where we think we'll do lots of really exciting stuff and generally just fall asleep because it's actually peaceful and quiet. So yeah, it's okay. Ceredigion, the county I'm in, has been pretty much the safest county since the start of this. There's been there were lockdown care homes very early. They had a track and trace system in place, so it's been the best place to be. Perhaps not quite as safe as New Zealand. New Zealand really has been showing the world how to do it, but pretty good. So that's that one. And William is in New Zealand, so yes, you're having good times over there. Graham Hill: hi, I own a Renault Megane Mark II 1.5 diesel Dynamique. Yeah, Dynamique. I just love it. Just wondered what your thoughts were on this car and how about a test drive. I'm trying not to take more cars because I get offers all the time, and even if I start writing them down, the list just grows and grows and it all gets a bit out of hand. So I've still got a backlog of cars I want to do. It's definitely an interesting car. I've driven one once, but I have a feeling it was a petrol engine. Can't remember. It was in Scotland 15 years ago. Terrible Triangle of Doom. Nice handbrake. They're not bad cars at all, those Renault Meganes. Lovely mix of ride and handling, just before Renault lost the plot. Noel Huggett: hope you and yours are well. He is a huge fan of British Leyland Austin Rover Group stuff, apart from the City Rover. Aww. Are there any plans to own another product with huge superiority over anything else on the road? I don't think any one car has huge superiority over any other. They all have their faults and weaknesses. He's currently bidding on a Rover 45 V6 Connoisseur that he actually sold new. They are lovely cars. The only fault with those Rover 45 V6s is they only put the 2-litre engine in. They really need the 2.5. They just need a bit more torque. Otherwise they just end up too rev happy, and that's against the character of wafty little car. But I like that. It's a good size car. It's practical enough without being huge. 75, bit big for me. Tony Sander: knowing what you know now, do you believe it may have made more sense to ship Betty back to the UK instead of buying both the Delica and the GSA? It's a fair point, and it has crossed my mind that that may have been a better way to spend my money. Certainly the cost of the Delica and the GSA outweigh what it would have cost to ship Betty home. But you know, you always ponder these maybes and might have beens. I mean, it has to be said, this is a far better recording studio. I'm quite enjoying using the Delica as a little recording studio, and should have some news on the Delica fairly soon. Truckosaurus, my question, is there a vehicle too dreadful for HubNut? I don't think I've quite managed it yet. A vehicle that I found truly terrible. I mean, I'm looking at a HC Viva at the moment. I'm not a huge fan of HC Vivas, but I would still get in one and happily drive it. There aren't many cars I will say I just do not want to drive that ever again. The Alfa Romeo GTV V6 I drove in Sydney, that was a car where it's just like, I've had enough of that, but that's because I was driving it on entirely the wrong roads. If I was driving that car here in Wales, I think I would like it a lot more. So yeah, I'm not sure there is a vehicle that's too dreadful, because even dreadful ones can often be hilarious as long as you're only exposed to them for short periods of time. Red Romans, what level of frustration do you feel with having so many vehicles and these vehicles often needing to be worked on? And do you enjoy these maintenance efforts when successful? Yeah, it's been a bit overwhelming lately, and again, not helped by having the unit so far away. So I would like to get the Matiz back on the road, but whenever I'm at the unit, I'm usually fixing one of the cars that already is on the road and has issues. So my tinkering time, I just don't have enough hours in the day for tinkering. So that's the frustration at the moment. I still haven't been able to find a unit, so if you have some space in Ceredigion, do let me know. Anywhere in the county is considered fair game, and possibly a little further afield towards Carmarthen, maybe even. Yeah, I need space, desperately need space, and that is the biggest frustration. Do you enjoy these maintenance efforts when successful? Of course I do. That's the magic of it. It's hugely frustrating when it goes wrong, but when it goes right, it's wonderful. Oh, Robin Capper, who owns the Fiat Bravo HGT, watching it a second time around. The air conditioning has been sorted, hurrah! But you haven't got it back yet. Oh well, that will make a difference to that car, because then you don't have the billowing headliner because you have to open the windows. So yeah, that was a lovely car. An unexpected delight in New Zealand was driving Robin's Fiat Bravo. Ian Steele, do you think there is a market for print media in these days of YouTube and Facebook? It's very, very difficult days indeed, and to be honest, that's why I kind of had my eye on YouTube. I've had my eye on YouTube for a number of years, because you're looking where else can I use my talents, because yeah, I've been worried about print media. The latest news I've heard, I think Modern Classics magazine is going to be closing. I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet. It was certainly under review, and that affects some friends of mine, so that's very sad times. It is getting more and more difficult, and you just can't plug your niche in magazines in the way I can do here on YouTube. I can have my channel about dreadful cars and it works really well. I like it. So yeah, I think it is difficult times for the magazines. I think it's getting much harder to make them work, but I know the media companies aren't giving up on print media. They may be giving up on the smaller niche titles, but there's still a future there, I think. Simone Smith, curious to know what I think of cars from behind the Iron Curtain. Would you ever travel to Russia one day? Yeah, I would kind of like to go to Russia, and lots of the Baltic states, and yeah, there's a lot of places I would like to see some very interesting cars. I don't know a huge amount about Russian cars generally, other than the ones we got here in the UK, the Lada, and that was generally about it. There was the Moskvich very briefly. So yeah, I would like to know more about those cars, and yeah, maybe one day I'll travel to Russia. It sounds impossible, but then a few years ago I would have thought it was impossible to go to New Zealand and Australia, and I've done that. So yeah, sometimes you just got to go with it, book the thing and do it, because you know, I get scared about these things as much as anyone else does. Oh well, Graham Massey would love to hear an in-depth discussion on electric vehicles. Yeah, I don't think this is the place for it. Yeah, I think that's possibly an area to discuss with someone else, maybe in a future video. I want to do more interviews, but I don't want to do them over the internet, because I don't think that has worked all that well. So I would like to go and speak to people, look at cars. So yeah, we'll see what we can do about that. Interestingly, Vintage Voltage is a program on Quest, and it features my friends at Electric Classic Cars, who've let me drive a few of their cars. So yeah, electric vehicles and electric conversions very much in the media's eye at the moment. Thin Cow, do you have any thoughts on new things you would like to try on the channel? As an example, I would like to do a welding course, and it'd be great to watch a series of someone documenting them completing the course. Yeah, I may be able to do something on that. There's things floating around. I would like to weld because I think it would be very useful, especially with such a vehicle. But yeah, we'll see. I have no firm plans. There's always ideas going on in here, so we'll see what happens. Colin B. Power, you mentioned that you would like to see a Roots Group car on the fleet. Do you have any thoughts as to what particular vehicle that might be as yet? Well, I've always been drawn to the Hillman Hunter, the arrow body shape, primarily because my dad had one when I was a child, a brown, metallic brown one, or that sort of topaz colour. Lovely thing, with overdrive. And yeah, I really like that. I think it'd be good to get a bit of nostalgia. Imps are cars I've not had enough to do with, and I would very much like to do something with Imps. So maybe one day. But biggest problem is there's only a limited number of spaces on the fleet, and yeah, something usually has to go to make room for something else. So it's problematic, we shall say. Right, we are going to jump onto the Facebook questions then. Not Facebook, YouTube questions. So this is people who are channel members on the YouTube channel. James Wallace, what do you enjoy most about a vehicle? That depends on the vehicle. The 2CV, I love the fact you can chuck it around and have a right giggle in it. I don't love the fact that it's so loud and makes long journeys a bit overbearing. This Delica I like because it's big and quite wafty to drive, fairly effortless because of light steering and automatic transmission. So it's different things in different cars. So it's very hard to say what you enjoy most. Ride and handling tends to be fairly important, and while this is bouncy, it doesn't tend to be uncomfortable other than over sharp bumps. So comfort's important, and handling, it must be, at least be competent. And Paul Lynch, what car do you wish you never sold? That one comes up a lot, and it's probably that Tobacco Leaf Rover P6. AM, do you have a non-preference for US cars? No, I just don't know enough about American cars. I would like to go to America. I would like to experience more American cars. So it's not that I have a non-preference. It's just that I don't often get the opportunity to drive them. There's always more cars to get my hands on, more than I can possibly ever contemplate, I think. Gerard Boss von Hohenfels. Oh dear, that's awful pronunciation. Gerard says, I know you love cars, but just like myself, in particular Citroen, when did your love for this brand start? It started probably reading reference books when I was like 10, 11 years old. I did have a girlfriend when I was at primary school before that, and her dad had a bright yellow Citroen GS estate, and I remember being fascinated by that. We went out in it, the floaty suspension. I was just like, ooh, okay, this has piqued my interest. So that was very interesting. But yeah, reference books with pictures of the 2CV, the black and yellow Charleston that was at the Patrick collection in Birmingham. There's a picture of that in the book 101 Great Marks, and I just thought, wow, that's a really interesting car. And of course I got 2CVs into 2CVs when I was 18. They were cheap, dirt cheap, and lots of fun. So it all sort of built up from there. Yeah, I like them for being different, and I guess I've always been drawn to the different. Bog standard, normal, not really my thing, says the man who runs a channel dedicated to average cars. Okay, yeah, sometimes I'm a contradiction of myself. Shane Marsh is one of many who missed out on the Matra Rancho on eBay recently, and realised he doesn't know much about Simca, Talbot, Roots, etc. Shed any light? Okay, very quickly, Matra Rancho. What happened there is there was a car called the Simca 1100 that was developed by Simca. Simca began life as an offshoot of Fiat, I think. So they were building Fiat, the original Fiat 500, the Topolino, the 1930s one, under license in France. Then there's some complication with them taking over the French Ford. So there was a V8 2.5 litre, but was actually an American Ford design. And they started developing their own ranges of cars. They had a little rear engine one called the 1000, then they developed a front wheel drive one called the 1100, which came out in the early 70s. And the Matra Rancho was actually based on the pickup version of that Simca 1100. And it's the Matra Simca Rancho in France, but Simca was kind of dropped when Simca became part of Chrysler. So it was the Talbot Matra Rancho in the UK. And it's a glass fibre body stuck to the running gear effectively of the pickup, but with the larger engines from the Horizon. And I realise I need much more time to discuss this. I would like to test drive a Matra Rancho, so if you've got one, please do get in touch. That is a key vehicle I need to test and find out a lot more about. So yeah, we'll see what goes on there. Julian Knight, what do you think is the lifespan of HubNut in its present form? I have no idea. I'm just making this up as I go along, and hopefully I will continue to do so. Any new projects or changes in the pipeline? Not really. I'm always looking at different channels for different video ideas. I would like to do a build and actually build something a bit special. I think people love build threads, and while I've not got the talent, I'm sure I've got contacts that could definitely help. I've got a huge desire to take something bread and butter 1950s, Morris Minor, Austin A35, maybe an A40 Farina, something like that, and turn it into a really practical daily driver for today. So, you know, I don't want to turn it into a track car, but I do want more power, better brakes, better handling, and decent heating and ventilation. That is a key one. So that's an idea I've got rattling around. Whether it'll ever happen, couldn't tell you. Philip Hatfield, what are your thoughts on the Citroen Pluriel? I really don't like them. I'm not one of those people who is so addicted to Citroens that I love all Citroens. I think most of their modern stuff is frankly just boring. And unfortunately, boring sells. Citroen, sadly, like Lancia, discovered that making interesting engineering cars, that's not the way to make money. You make money building Ford Escorts, unfortunately. So, yeah, boring has become the way. And I think the Pluriel, I think the roof design is terrible, because you can roll it back and then it completely covers the rear window. Or you can take the bars off, but then where do you put the bars? There's nowhere to store them. You leave them at home, you're committing to a day with no roof. And worst of all, terrible wipers, awful triangle of doom. And also available with a completely hopeless automated manual gearbox. So I'm sorry, I don't like them. Ali Mac Mechanical, when will you be getting Foxanne Road ready? No idea. Hopefully that will happen. I've got a real desire to get her out with a pressure washer and test the paint, because it's now over a year since Foxanne came back onto the road. Frank Waltius, how do you keep your mental sanity and avoid getting stressed out by all the setbacks? You just got to keep plugging away. You have dark days, but on the dark days sometimes it's best just to walk away and go do something else. Julian reports that his Triangle of Doom mug has arrived in Hamburg. Excellent. Thank you, Julian. Fixed Drive Ridefly. I enjoy your tinkering videos, but do you actually enjoy the tinkering? I have been wondering myself lately, but yeah, I think I do. As a way to spend the day, yeah, it is good, but there are frustrations. Most of the frustrations are my own stupidity and lack of knowledge, but I'm getting there. So we'll see how things go. RS would like to know how I got started with YouTube, and how did you enjoy Launceston and Tasmania in general on your Australia trip? Well, I did a video recently showing how I got started. I just put a camera in a Nissan Leaf I was testing and made a video about it, and then started doing stuff about my own cars, and it built up from there. And it is what it is now. But yeah, going back to Launceston and Tasmania in general, yeah, I really enjoyed Tasmania. It's probably one of the biggest surprises. I knew nothing about Tasmania other than devils, and so yeah, it was a very interesting place. The climate is much closer to the UK than mainland Australia, and there's more old vehicles around. It's very, very rural and pretty much dead, some of the towns, but yeah, I found it a very interesting place to go, and I think more people should go there. Revolution 1-1, how has the unit hunt gone? Not very well. I made the mistake of looking at a unit in Cardigan. I actually went and viewed it, and I lingered too long. It had been showing us available all through the lockdown, but as soon as everything opened up again, it was gone. So missed out there, very annoyed, because it would have been a really good unit. It was just pushing my cost limit a bit too much, so I and ahed and lost out. And you don't get many units around here, so I'm struggling to find another one. Chris Riley wants my opinion on the Fiat Multipla. It doesn't matter whether it's the original or the more modern one. I'm interested. I've never driven either. Someone whose username is 2*, says, would you be willing to do a more detailed financial review of the cars you have on the fleet? Not really, no, because I think it would terrify me. Sometimes it's best not to consider the financial status too much. I'm also rubbish with numbers and don't write stuff down. So maybe I should try and do something about that, because yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I absolutely agree. But you know, to think of, he mentions Ellie, who says obviously not for Ellie because I wouldn't sell her, but I can tell you I've easily sunk over 10 grand into that 2CV, and poor thing got to do the shopping run today in the rain. So yeah, that's what my 10 grand got me. Righty, do you ever get away from the cars and exercise, give yourself a break? Yeah, a bit, and having a new family helps with that. We aren't really the sit around and watch telly type of family, so we've played a lot of cars, we've been down to the beach. Probably not been exercising quite as much as we should be, especially lately because the weather's been a bit rubbish, and that's no excuse, just get better clothed. So yeah, that's what I do. The family is really helpful to just take me away from the channel for a bit. Do you have plans for a larger project like putting a turbo on the Matiz? Yeah, that is something I would love to do. I haven't got the skills to do that, but again, I could probably find someone who has, and I'll make quite an interesting video. The Matiz definitely needs a bit more poke. I would need to assess the engine to find out whether it's actually down on power, because it doesn't feel right at the moment. Double Asterix is back. Have you thought of using the head cam whilst doing tinkering videos? Yes, and I've tried doing that in some more recent ones. I don't always have it available. And the other issue is that I can't see what the camera is recording, so it's really difficult. At the moment, I've got a screen on the side of the camera, so I can see what's in shot. So if I'm showing you stuff like this postcard that was sent to me recently, I can look at there, I can see it's in focus now, and you know, that's really useful to have. If the camera's up here, I haven't got that. I could Bluetooth link it to the phone, but now we're adding complication. More complication you add, the slower everything gets. And like I say, my tinkering time is under pressure at the moment. There's not much of it. Max Eves, know you enjoy having multiple projects on the go, but at what point do you think that practicalities of having a relationship and a family will overrule the multiple projects you have on the go? I don't think there's too much conflict there. The travel is the main problem at the moment. The fact that it's a 3-hour round trip to the unit, and I don't want to do that every day. So that's the pressure. I don't think there's a pressure in terms of family. The only thing with a family is the question of travelling in cars, and I did the safety vlog recently. That has opened up a lot of debate. Should I even take children in the 2CV? And it's been interesting to watch that develop, all the discussion. That's been quite interesting. But yeah, I don't see the two clashing too often. When we go off on adventures, it's going to be different filming experience, because I haven't shown you my family yet, and I'm not sure I want to, because yeah, I mean, people moan about you making decisions about safety for children by carrying them in an older car, but you're also making decisions about showing them off to the rest of the world. So that's another complication that wasn't in my life before, but is now. So there we go. Sam Ayres, is there a car you wish you had bought when you had the chance to but didn't? Yeah, probably a Citroen Bijou for £400. It had been restored, it was on a Diane chassis, missed out on it. And Chris Skelhorn, would you have a Reliant Ant, Morris J, Trojan van or Jowett van? Yes. Yes to all of those. Liam Smith, a triple header, cheeky. What are the prospects of a HubNut social? I yeah, I'm not holding out great hopes, but we've got more travel now, but we're not really meant to be organising events, so we'll see later in the year. Should be able to do something, perhaps up at Devil's Bridge again. That worked really well last time. Will we ever see the return of a Rover-Type British car brand? Maybe. We're watching what's going on with Ineos at the moment, or Ineos, the Grenadier. They've basically ripped off a Land Rover. But there's some discussion about where they're going to build it at the moment. It was meant to be in Wales, and that would be good, but now it might not be Wales, and that could be bad. Although, speaking of Wales, the first of the Aston Martin SUVs has apparently rolled off the production line today in St Affan down in South Wales, so that's quite good. We'll see whether more cars can be built in Wales. It would be good. Nigel Rudd, are you going to do a HubNut toolbox tour? Perhaps at some point, yeah. You can laugh at my mess. Clive Tucker, have you found you closer to home yet? No. Yeah, I get the feeling the location of the current one is very limiting due to distance. Indeed, very much. Handbrake Bob, strangely obsessed by Tuck's handlebars, which were once rusty but suddenly became freshly painted and shiny. I don't think this was covered on the channel. I'm trying to remember if I did now. I can't actually remember what I painted them with. I think it might have been something like Hammerite, but I can tell you that the rust has started coming back through again, so that didn't work all that well. Paulie Gualtieri, would you import a rare car from Europe? Well, I already have, the Dacia. But yeah, there's all sorts of cars I'd like to bring back. We'll see. Something like a Renault 25. The problem with Renault 25 is I'd rather have a right-hand drive one, and UK ones are getting quite rare now, but definitely a car on my list, something I would love to own. Cauliflower McPug, will you ever do a plug hole of despair mug or t-shirt? It's one of the ideas we've had knocking around. It might happen. Robert McKelvey, is it a dream of yours to one day have a car hoist like the one Aging Wheels has? It would make a lot of the tinkering so much easier. Oh, hello. It's right. A Saab 9000 has just pulled up next to me. That was unexpected and rather loud. What was I saying? Where were we? Yeah, car hoists. I'm not sure how I feel about car hoists because they stop you looking like a home tinkerer. Even the little ramps for Mighty Car Mods have. And yeah, I'm not sure. They certainly make life a lot easier. And if you're doing a lot of work on cars, the main benefit is the working height. You're not having to crawl around on the floor. And even just sitting down, working on brakes, really, really difficult and annoying. So yeah, that's one of the things to consider, I think, is whether it's a good idea or not. And really, I don't know. I would quite like one, but I'd also be a bit scared. Peter Sutcliffe, Yugo Sana, why? Seems a little unfair. I would have thought the answer is obvious. It's awesome. Scottish Car Enthusiast TV, what has been the most fun test drive you have done in the history of HubNut? The Daihatsu Handy Van was absolutely hilarious. That was a joyous mix of the perfect car and the perfect roads. So that was really good fun. Okay, it's slightly interrupted by the neighbour with the Saab 9000 that has appeared from nowhere. Yeah, so the Daihatsu Handy Van was definitely an absolute highlight. Sometimes that happens, the road and the car come together, sometimes not. The Renault Fuego, the Alfa Romeo GTV, sometimes you just don't get the right conditions for the car. So it's always nice when the two come together, but that was definitely hilarious. And the HSV Maloo was very, very entertaining as well, because again, I managed to get some fast roads where I could exploit just a hint of what that 6-litre V8 Ute had to offer. So all good times. Nigel Rudd is taking the mickey and asking far too many questions here. So I'm gonna skip a few of those because that's just way too many, Nigel. I haven't got time for many questions. Lawrence Homer, without revealing details, are you planning another epic car journey? I'm not currently planning. While the state of the world and limitations is somewhat unknown, I'm not planning anything at the moment. I might be flying somewhere. It's meant to be a holiday, but I'm sure I can find something car related to do in Barcelona. That's all I'm saying on the matter. Ian Ellis, have you got a list of all the cars you have owned and driven? Definitely not driven, it's hundreds. Can you let us know a bit more about your ownership experience? Oh, sorry, wrong question, that's someone else's. Or are they just in the memory banks? And the ones I want. I mean, that's a lot of cars. I haven't got a list of all the cars I've owned. I keep trying to make one, but it's somewhere in the 70s in terms of total number. So yeah, there's a lot there. So I don't know. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting, thanks for the opportunity to ask questions. Can you let us know a bit more about your ownership experience with your 1950s Austin Westminster? Maybe I should do a video on that, because it was amazing, and I don't think I can really capture that in a Q&A session. It's the oldest car I've ever owned, and yeah, it was really nice. Barry Davis, what does the future hold for yourself and the channel? Again, no idea. Targets you want to attain? Well, the ultimate aim is the HubNut Museum, because I think a standalone museum is quite difficult to make work. Where's your income stream? But if I can use the channel as the income stream and then have the museum almost as a side project, I think that has potential. So that's something I'm hoping to do. And yeah, do I want to go back writing for magazines? Probably not at the moment, to be honest. I think I'm done with magazines for the time being, but we'll see, you never know. Howard Levert, have you considered teaching Miss HubNut to drive? And what are the practicalities of returning power to your current unit? I'm not interested in putting power in the unit because I don't want to be there. It doesn't seem worth going to the effort. In terms of teaching Miss HubNut to drive, I have pondered that. It could be an interesting set of videos, but then who really wants to be filmed learning to drive? She hasn't appeared on camera yet, and I'm not sure that's the best way to start, but we'll see. I'm not ruling anything out, but at the moment we haven't really had time to do that. Paul Laters, great to see HubNut back doing tinkering videos. Thank you. As car fanatics, we all have a preference to brands and cars. Yours are quite varied. Is there a car or brand you won't own for whatever reason, and why? I was going to say Ford, but I've owned several Fords, so it can't be Ford. No, I don't think there is a brand I would outright refuse to own. Some cars, certainly some modern cars, I'm not at all interested in, but in terms of brands, no, I'm not sure I'd rule anything out. BMWs aren't very me, but the older ones are quite nice, so yeah, I can't say there's any I definitely would not own. MG Betts asks, can you list the vehicles in your fleet now? With all the buying and selling, I have problems keeping up. Understandable, I have problems keeping up myself. So first of all, in my head, I'm going to run through the vehicles in the unit in the order they're parked. So we've got the Yugo Sana, Tuk the Invocar, the Citroen GSA, Foxan, and Myrtle the Matiz. And here with me, I've got Big Paulie the Delica, and Ellie the 2CV. So 7 vehicles on the fleet at the moment. The GSA is only at the unit because I swapped it out with the 2CV. Tomorrow, as it happens, I'm taking the Delica to the unit because I need to start work on the brakes, and the GSA will be coming back out again. So I'll be relying on a pair of air-cooled 1986 Citroens as daily transport. And you know, the mileage is going up now, so it's going to be fun times. Cock of Donny, is there anything you regret not doing when you went down under? So much. There's just so much. I don't, you know, I would love to have seen more of Australia, but Australia was sort of tacked on to the back of the New Zealand trip. It was originally just going to be New Zealand, but then people in Australia were like, oh, well, you've got to come to Australia. And they were right, I did. So yeah, there's a lot more I'd like to see. I'll just have to go back, I think, if I can ever face the flights. And if you had to start your YouTube time again, is there anything you'd do differently? I don't think so. I like the way it's evolved. And yeah, that's that one. Right, sorry, I've got messages pinging in. I didn't think my laptop was getting Wi-Fi here, but apparently I can get Wi-Fi in the car park, albeit very weakly, or not very strongly. Mr. Keyboard Commando, when one talks about a fleet of cars, one presupposes the elements thereof can float. Hey, given your limited ability as a mechanic, and your electricity-free workshop, yeah, why do you insist on buying drowned wrecks dredged up from the seabed of automotive awfulness? I can't help myself. Simple. Mr. Mark UK1, would you come back to Essex? Yes. It's where Tuck was born. I would like to take her back again. Scott Fisher, would you like to, or have you ever driven a Cortina Mark V? I have driven one for magazines. I don't remember being that blown away by them, as it happens, but and they're all right. I just don't really get the Cortina obsession. I like the Mark IIIs, and I like what Pete C does with Cortina City, the restoration. If you haven't seen what he's done with Project Bramble since I last saw it, do go and check it out. But I guess I like the Mark III Cortinas more for the looks than anything else. And the Mark Vs, the 4 and 5 were just a bit bland and disappointing. The same way as the Mark II Escort is a bit bland after a Mark I. It's just one of those things, just personal preference. I'm more interested in Sierras, if I'm entirely honest. Tom Cloy 1. I love the series with the mighty Dacia, yes. Would you consider doing another trip across Europe for a rare and interesting car? Yes. An old sit, I think I need in my life. We'll see if I ever manage that one. Nicholas C. When all this pandemic stuff ends, where are the next HubNut international adventures going to be set? No idea. Apart from the fact I know I'm going to Barcelona for a holiday. I've been told apparently you've got to sit next to the pool and take it easy. I'm not used to this. Yeah, I don't have any plans at the moment. Retronaut, I've recently been contacted by a filmmaker based at Pinewood Studios about featuring one of the cars he owns in a short film. Would you ever rent out any of your fleet if the opportunity arose, and what would you insist is in place? Yes, I would, but I think I would be one of those people that I'd insist I want to be there. If the car's going to be driven, I want to drive it, or at least do the tuition of whoever is going to be driving it. Yeah, I'm a bit protective of my cars, and obviously they can get damaged in filming. They may have cameras put on them. It depends how much, whether it's a background car. Might be an interesting one to ask Steph at iDriver Classic, because she has been in quite a few productions, I think. Sometimes appearing with her car, sometimes just a car. So she'd be a person to ask. Dave Tong, when do you think Tuck will be back on the road? I'm not sure she's going to be on the road this year. I want to get the engine out and work out why it's throwing oil absolutely everywhere. We'll see how I manage on that. Obviously, again, the lack of tinkering time is frustrating me. I can't do anything with it, but the amount of oil she's throwing out, I really shouldn't be driving her on the road, so I don't think I'm going to until I sort it out. Alan Lansdale, generally your audience is pretty nice, yes, but does the comment section ever make you wish you hadn't shared your learning experiences with us, or does it help? I do get some pretty aggressive comments, usually berating me for something I've done wrong, because I'm doing stuff wrong all the time, but it is actually useful. So if the comments are just really nasty, I tend to just delete them. If they're genuinely useful, I will take on board the comments and try and improve for next time. It's kind of a way of learning. So yeah, I'm very lucky with my comment section. I get so few nasty comments. I get some bizarre ones from time to time, but yeah, I get off very easy. Les Palmer, have you ever thought of giving a test drive to a Ford Anglia? Would love to, 105e especially. Sean Murray, why did you want to get the Delica? Is pretty much what he's saying. Did you want to tow a trailer with Tuck on? Yes, I've got to the stage, and we'll go back to the safety vlog. I realised that driving the Invacar long distance is A, really hard on the hearing, and B, it's not safe. Especially on motorways and dual carriageways, faster roads, because the visibility is terrible. The design with the pillars coming down behind your head, it completely blocks your over the shoulder visions, and you've got terrible little mirrors. I don't feel safe driving that car long distance. So yeah, further adventures, maybe in a slightly different form. Robert N. Green 6, hope you're well, enjoying tea from the new mug. You know, I haven't even got my hands on a new mug yet. We now have a larger, I don't think it's that large, I've not seen it, white mug, a HubNut mug, available at hubnut.org, so you can head to the store and buy one of those. They're £2 more than the regular ones, £11 plus postage and packing. Sales mode end. Do you have any plans for any collaborations with other YouTubers? Yeah, I would certainly like to do more. I don't have any firm plans. There's a few things bubbling around, but until something happens, I don't really want to say anything. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And that brings us to the end of questions, which you'll probably be no doubt relieved to hear. But we've got more mailbox, or mailbag, shall I say. So the first one is, it's Martin again, who I thought was from the Netherlands. It turns out he's from Germany. Sorry, Martin. This is a French majorette model towing a boat, also by Majorette. And that's just nice. Martin is becoming a regular contributor, but thank you, Martin. Postcards are always fun. I've got an aunt who always sends me postcards. She's the same aunt who is responsible for me getting into old cars, really, because she had Morris Minors. More post has come in. There's the PO box address if you wish to send stuff. I don't know what's in here. I really should have bought some sharp implements. We shall do a hasty edit to when I actually get this thing open. This is like the opposite of an unboxing video. Yeah. Okay, this is absolutely impenetrable. Ah, there we go. I think I've got it. Aha! I'm having a degree of success. Oh, careful now, don't destroy whatever's in there. Oh, what have we got in here? Oh! Oh my gosh. It's a Zastava Yugo use and maintenance. What is this on? Is this a Sana? Oh no, it's not a Sana. It's the 45 and 55 and the 311, the smaller one. That's still an interesting read though. Look at that for a comprehensive dashboard. Look, there's nothing on it. That's amazing. So that's quite interesting. Maybe I'll have to get one. Also got a service book, which appears to be, hello, this has got someone's green slip in it. So this is someone who had a Zastava Yugo with the 903cc engine, 45. Interesting, a little service book. And service schedule, service and warranty book. I wonder if they own this car and then sadly had to sell it. Is it the same car? Yeah, it's got the tear outs. It only had a couple of services. Pre-delivery inspection, 1,000 mile service, 6,000 mile service, carried out at Station Garage in Preston in 1988, and then the story ends. So that's quite interesting. I wonder if that was for his own car, but yeah, thank you for that. Interesting stuff to have about. I don't think I've got anything to say who that's from. Oh my gosh. Always look in the bag, because we've got the key tag for his original car, and also a key ring. Look at that, original Yugo key ring. Wow. QA Northwestern in garage in Preston. So that's quite interesting. Thank you. Someone did message me on Twitter about that, so I probably could remember if I was better at this sort of thing. But thank you. That's more stuff to put in the unit. And then we got this. Ian HubNut Seabrook. What we got in here? Let's see if we can find a way in that isn't damaging. Oh yes, there we go. From... yeah, I can't really read that. It's a good job we didn't have to go back to the sender then, because the post office might also have been struggling, but they get more experience of doing this. What on earth have we got in here? Ooh, intriguing. It certainly is. And it's well wrapped. I'll try and get it out without destroying it. Ooh. Oh, it's a Haynes manual, I'm going to guess. Is it a Haynes manual for a car I own? Are you ready for the big reveal? Yes. It's a GS and GSA Haynes manual. I don't actually own one. So I like the fact this one looks like it's been slightly on fire. That's a nice touch. But that should certainly be useful. I've only just discovered that my GSA has electronic ignition, which they all did from 1982. I didn't know that, so that's worth knowing. It's interesting they say production ended in 1985. I'm aware mine is in 1986 registered, I think. Mine hung around in the dealership for a while. And I can well understand why, because it was a brand new car in 1985, but it was beige, and it was the base model. So just to see if we've got a letter or anything in here, but I don't think we have. But yeah, thank you whoever that was. That's a really, really useful thing to have. Citroen GSA manual. It almost looks like it's been undersealed. That's quite impressive. So thank you for that. That is a very useful item, and I can also let you know through the medium of this video that I already have one. So if you were thinking of sending one, you don't have to. But yeah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for watching. I'm aware that's a very long video. I'll get this one out. Obviously, you lovely patrons and channel members will get early access to this video, and then a day later I'll roll it out to everyone else. But just because you're not a patron or channel member, don't think I think any less of you. I'm grateful to all who view my videos and who watch, like, subscribe, whatever you do. Thank you very much. So I better wrap this one up and say thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe before you go if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Farewell.